she is spooked by I almost said who I know this person is now because I finished the chapters. Columbia, Canada, what is good? Woo. It is a delight to be back in your lovely town, in your lovely country. I've made my way here from the Amtrak Cascades train, and I had to describe to the immigration agent what I did, and he looked mildly confused. But I'm very excited to be here. It was so fun to do a show here previously, and now to do another one again to get into some very fun chapters of the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series. We've got some really juicy ones to cover today, so I think we should just get right to the chase, and let's bring our guest on for this episode, because I'm never on this journey alone, always joined by someone, and here is a wonderful person who I've done improv with for years, and you might recognize him from being on the show, but also specifically at the Vancouver show last year. Make some noise for Nathan Cox!
Hey. Hello, Vancouver. How's it going? Good to see you again.
Vancouver, a place familiar to you, given that your roots bring you from the northern part of Washington.
It's true. As I think I also mentioned last year, I spent a big part of my childhood growing up in Ferndale and Bellingham. So, like, the great to mediocre child of Vancouver. It's hard to explain. I feel like there's Canadian culture tinges that come across the border and do things. More so in Bellingham. Ferndale, I cannot really account for. Laughs from the couple people who have been there. But I love Vancouver, been here a lot. Used to come drinking here when I was under 21 on Granville. I don't know if Tonic is still around, but I had some Smirnoff Ices at that club, and it was a good time.
Ooh, yeah.
But now we're mature adults. We're doing mature adult things.
Yes, like talking about children's books.
Yes, that's correct.
Like adults do. But no, I'm excited. We are going to be covering chapters 27 and 28, which are both called Piper, but of course we will retitle these chapters. Oh man, I've had you on the pod a bunch now, since we've already clarified, since you were the guest for the Seattle show, of what your history with the Heroes of Olympus books. I've asked you your nectar and ambrosia, yes?
Oh, no, I don't know that you have asked for
Okay, well then how about you fire that off? What would your nectar and ambrosia taste like? So the ideal food, the ideal drink.
Gosh. As far as food goes, my mom taught me how to make cheesecakes at the age of 13. And I think of myself as a solid cheesecake baker. And so I feel like that's the thing for me. Also not that far from what ambrosia is in the book.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's cheesecake. As far as a drink, gosh, I want to go with something that I actually drink now, but if I want to go back to my roots when I was in high school and only drinking Mountain Dew, basically, no water, I feel like that's the thing that would actually bring me back to life. It would take me back to my base origins.
Yeah.
But there's no pride in that. It's not a good beverage.
Are we talking original Mountain Dew, or are we talking Code Red or Baja Blast?
No, none of the imposters. Okay. Original Mountain Dew, yeah.
Okay. I had a Baja Blast recently because I was getting food from Taco Bell, and I don't know, Taco Bell's up here too, yeah? Okay. So recently, the way that the structure of Taco Bell's menus is, aside from being way too expensive for Taco Bell, is that I like to get the chalupas there, and getting 2 individual chalupas is the same price as getting the 2 chalupa plus a small taco plus a soda deal.
Right.
So I was like, well, I might as well get the more stuff. And then they were like, what soda do you want? I was like, well, I guess I'll get the Baja Blast. And I had 3 sips, and I was like, I'm good for the next few months.
I recently saw it at a 7-Eleven, and I was like, you know what? when you have an experience put in front of you that is exciting but potentially dangerous, you take it.
Yeah.
And I had a bag of Doritos that were flavored mango chili Baja Blast. And it was upsetting how much it tasted like Baja Blast. I know what I signed up for, but I didn't want it, but I bought it anyway.
I also have seen in a New York grocery store near my place that they have spiked Baja Blast. So Mike's Hard Baja Blast.
Just to report on the audience, I heard lots of so Bring that
What kind of crowd we got tonight? So
they're into it.
anyway, Percy Jackson. So let's get into chapter 27, which is called Piper. Now, where we last left our heroes, we had just gotten into the magical mall of sorts with the big M on the elevator doors. We've been greeted by this princess of Colchis, but we don't know exactly who she is yet, unless you are a big Greek mythology nerd. But this chapter starts with another banger of a quote, Piper wanted to run for the elevator. So she doesn't like that they're about to go shopping and everything. Feels like the boys are under her spell of this princess. Now, Piper, as the narrator says, that her second choice was to initiate a fight with the princess now, since a fight is definitely going to come anyway. And I keep making this reference, but I feel like these chapters keep feeling incredibly like Baldur's Gate 3, when you have like conversation choices of the person you're talking to, and then the last one is just attack them. Like, it's almost always attack them is the last one. And certain points in that game, you're like, all right, this person's going to fight me no matter what I say. I can't talk my way out of this. So it just, for me, feels like Piper going, attack her. Just get it through.
Yeah,
fast
she knows
forward.
her only chance is to roll for initiative and hit a 20 on that.
Just get a leg up. So she was spooked by the princess's face turning red when the name of Jason was name dropped. And now this princess is trying to act like nothing happened, which feels even more alarming. So Piper is convinced that Leo and Jason are under her spell. She tries to snap them out of it, but the princess stops them. And they definitely seem charmed. And this is interesting because Piper has her charm speak powers. Now we have this princess, which has charm speak powers as well. So are we going to have a charm off? Is it going to be a battle of who can convince the boys to do their bidding more?
Or as Gen Z might say, it's a Riz war.
Oh, a Riz war. I have
tell I'm not Gen Z.
I tried to describe what Riz was on an episode. I was like, oh, it's short for charisma. And I don't know what else I said, but a bunch of Gen Z people are like, that's not what Riz means. And like, yes, it is. But I don't know that you know what charisma means. But I think it's like purely, based on the feedback I got, I think Riz is purely just like, can you spit game? And like nothing else.
Yeah, but it's also going to become one of those things where it's going to keep on like iterating over time, and then literally won't mean literally anymore. So who knows?
Yeah.
Hard to say. But yeah, it'll be a big, I'm looking forward. When I read that part, I was like, okay, we kind of know what this chapter is going to bring on. I'm looking forward to it. Who's got the best game? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know when Riz will die, and it's when some Democrat politician this year says like, go Riz the vote, you know, like Hillary will get back out there and be like, show the ballot your Riz. So that'll be on there, just like she brutally murdered Pokemon Go. Now, Piper especially hates this department store setting they are in because she has a history of stealing from department stores, but using her charm ability to get people to give her stuff. But she's the most interesting criminal ever because she will get these things stolen from the store, but then she will charm a UPS delivery man to send them back to the store, but then the cops find out that she did it anyway. It's all a big gambit just to make her dad pay attention to her and stuff, but it's so
typical
thorough.
Police enforcing property owners, and that's about it. But I did wonder if you could steal things through consensual persuasion, would you, and what would you steal in those scenarios? What to you would be like, all right, morally?
When places are definitely going to throw out food at the end of the night, but like their policy doesn't let them. So like if you're going to like a bakery and they're about to close, or like Whole Foods, like I know there's certain things where they like have to throw it out at the end and they're not going to do anything. So like it would be like that, and then I would convince them to give it to me.
Yeah. For me, it's any like carnival where they've got those stuffed animals, and I'm just just give me one. Like I could spend the $80 it'll take me for me to knock over the cats, but we all know that those are worth 50 cents at most. So I think that's fair game.
That's a good one.
They've made enough money off of it.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Now, the princess takes them to the magical cosmetics department, and there are loads of potions and all of these ornate jars, very much giving perfume at a Macy's vibes. And speaking of perfume vibes, there is smells emanating from these jars, and some of them are great, and others smell like butt. So it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on in the
one of them is polka dots, like which Are any of you old enough where you might remember the 90s beverage called Orbitz?
Yes, didn't it have like the chunks in it?
It had like little like gelatin orbs
Yeah.
that would suspend.
Like a lava lamp, but a soda drink.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a precursor to bubble tea in my mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Except
or at
not
least,
tapioca.
American precursor kind of. But what's interesting is that it does kind of serve a purpose, which is it did remove your temptation of drinking a lava lamp. You're like, well, I shouldn't drink a lava lamp. I'll have an Orbitz. They should have sold it in lava lamp shaped.
I mean,
containers.
they kind of were.
They were like roundish and
it was like an inverted one. It wasn't good though. Don't look for one, please.
This has been Millennial Corner with Mike and Nathan. So the princess points out that one of them can cure any disease. And Leo says, like cancer? And she goes, any disease. And then she also points out another one that just kills whoever drinks it very painfully. So Piper again tries to snap Leo out of the trance with her charm speak, but it doesn't work because Piper's confidence is a bit shaky, so she can't really bring it all to the table here. The princess continues with a potion that protects against fire, and Leo says, no need for that, since he has fire protection powers. And the princess is surprised, but doesn't press him on it, thankfully. And then I realize, wait, oh my God, it's Medea, because she says, when she's brushing this off, that Leo isn't wearing her trademark sunscreen. And I remember they referenced that like 3 books ago in the Percy Jackson series as like a throwaway line that Medea makes SPF 3000 sunscreen. But I, being the very specific nerd that I am, was like, Dr. Moya, what's the deal with this? And she told me about Medea. So when she said this line, I had the big brain blast aha moment of, oh, this M sorceress person, of course it's Medea. And I was kind of kicking myself because in the Seattle live show, which you haven't heard yet, but podcast people have heard at this point, we were about to go down the rabbit hole of like, who could the M person be? And I was about to say on stage, oh, well, it wouldn't be Millenoi because she already showed up in the Demigod Files. But if I had said that, then I would have thought about Hades 2, the video game. And Medea is in Hades 2, the video game, so I probably would have gotten there. But I think it's all okay because me not recognizing it until the throwaway sunscreen line just still being burned in my brain, I think is the perfect Venus Olympian way to realize, oh no, it's Medea, they got to get out of here.
Because it's not my job to read these books, I didn't remember that throwaway line. And so at this point, I still did not know that it was Medea.
Mm-hmm. I did write in my notes in all caps at this point, okay, quick, Mike, what is Medea's deal? She's in Hades 2 and she's your friend, but that means she's probably not their friend. So I also then said, okay, definitely potions. She studies under Hecate, and she's in the Jason story, but I don't remember if she was good or evil. She turned red at the name of Jason, and then I wrote, oh, it's got to be the old classic, he was her lover, but then he left to do the rest of the quest thing, a la Cersei. So that feels pretty true to form. We'll see in a little bit.
Yeah.
But within that lies the question. Is she going to be vengeful towards Jason 2 Electric Boogaloo, or will she be helpful for them? We'll have to see. So Piper asks if the cure potion could cure a lost memory, and Medea thinks it's a possibility, asking Piper if she has forgotten something important. Piper tries to keep a straight face, but we're not sure how well that works. But inside she is thinking that this could help Jason since he's lost all his memories. But then she wonders, do I want him to get his memory back? Ooh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's tricky because she has the worries, and she clarifies them here. She first wonders, oh, would he learn maybe that he's actually their enemy and he wouldn't want to be on their side? But then she worries about the big picture of it all. Does Jason have a girlfriend back home? Which is really the priority is where we're at.
Yeah, got to get your priorities straight.
Of course, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Now, Piper ultimately thinks it doesn't matter, and that surprises her. But she realizes that she is thinking this way because she just hates seeing how much pain Jason is in, and she can see it every time he is trying to recall something and can't. He just gets so frustrated. So just as a friend, she wants him to not have to deal with that anymore, which I think is really sweet. And I think it's a good show of character from her.
I agree. Throughout all of this, and kind of like, I mean, throughout the books up until this point, it's not just the fact that she's like, oh, he doesn't remember his memories, but we've still gone over the fact that she doesn't know if her own memories are real.
Correct.
Which is like, I feel like that should supplant any of her like big romantic feelings to a certain degree, because otherwise you're just like smitten on somebody and crushing on someone. But if you know for sure that it could all be like fake, but then like what's real anyway? Like we're delving into this in this book, but except they keep on like surface skimming it of like, if your memories aren't real, then who are you and what do you feel? And does what you feel in a particular moment, is that all that actually matters?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, is your past truly your past if you can't remember your past?
Right.
Ooh. But ultimately, Piper just wants to help him, even if it means losing him. So she asks Medea how much for the potion. At this point, I just kept writing Medea in the notes before the reveal because it was quite obvious to me. Piper asks Medea how much for the potion. Medea says the price is tricky because she loves helping people and always keeps her bargains, but sometimes people try to cheat her and then she shoots dagger eyes at Jason. So I thought, I'm going to guess that she helped Jason find the fleece, and then he screwed her over. And then...
Which is really unfair to Jason's. Like...
To our Jason, yes.
No, but to all Jasons.
Oh, like, any Jason besides the one Jason that set the bad precedent.
That's right. Jason Kidd, Jason Derulo, Jason Biggs.
Kidd sucks, yeah. But, yeah.
But like, none of them are going to get fair deals, all because their parents felt a certain way when they saw their infant being born. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair at all.
Oh, man. So Medea gets into it. She says, quote, once, for instance, I met a handsome young man who wanted a treasure from my father's kingdom. We made a bargain, and I promised to help him steal it. And Jason is shocked that she would help someone steal from her own father, but she says, I asked for a high price that the hero take me along with her, and she says that she wanted it because basically he was super cute. She says he was dashing. She then says to Piper that Piper should understand how she feels, right? And Piper tries to fight back, blushing, and she's worried that Medea can read her thoughts, and then thinks that the story sounds familiar. Medea says that she helped this hero complete many tasks that would have been impossible without her help, yet he still cheated her out of her payment. Jason frowns and looks like he's trying to remember. Leo thinks it's awful. Medea says that she knows that he would never do it and would always pay a fair price. So Leo asks, what are we buying again? I'll take 2. Love Leo. Piper interjects again to actually ask what is the real price. And Medea asks if she would give anything for it because it seems like she would. And Piper feels this magical force rush over her that makes her want to say yes. But she recognizes that it is charm speak because it feels similar to what Drew did back at the campfire. So she has the fortitude to resist it, but she does note that it's about 1,000 times stronger than what Drew did. So she does recognize I am dealing with someone very powerful, but then she also has a feeling of guilt. Oh, I do this to other people. When I charm speak people, I don't like how this feels, and I can't believe I'm doing this to other people. So I wonder if this will affect her usage of it going forward now that she knows how it feels.
Yeah, potentially. Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see. Piper holds her ground, saying that she won't pay anything, like saying as in like not anything, but she would pay a fair price, and once they do so, they will be on their way. Jason and Leo are kind of dragging their feet. Piper's getting frustrated at them. Medea is impressed with Piper for resisting her charm speak and asks if she's a daughter of Aphrodite before saying that they should all go shopping a little bit longer to determine what they want to buy.
I do like that moment because it's a real like, oh, game recognized game, Piper, and you're looking kind of familiar right now.
Yeah,
so
it's
like,
the Shaq meme of I was unfamiliar with your game. Yeah,
exactly.
Piper is confused since they've already settled on the potion being the thing that they want to buy. So Medea then charm speaks the 2 boys into doing more shopping, and they agree. And then Medea says, excellent. You'll need all the help you can get if you're to make it to the Bay Area.
Whoa.
Now, I think this is not come out on the podcast yet. Again, sorry, Vancouver people, but this is the part where you should go, oh, because I have correctly predicted that they're going to the Bay Area. So we had that dream where it said the rolling fog and the hills and the big scary thing on top of a mountain. Now, I used to live in the Bay Area, and there's that big scary radio tower thing on top of the hills near Dolores Park. So I figured this has to be San Francisco that they're talking about. So when the Bay Area gets slipped out here by Medea, I was very excited that my prediction was correct. I'm very happy. I would love if more of these books were set in places that I lived so that I can guess things more easily.
But it does also like feel like a little bit of like, didn't we already go to the Bay Area in the previous the Alice book?
Yeah, in the 3rd one, Titan's Curse.
Yeah, because that's where he's holding up. He's still there for all we know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered this in the podcast episode, and it gave me a little bit of doubt, but just that description of the fog and the big scary thing, I think it works because Mount Tam is not actually scary. It's just like a mountain. You can go hiking. It's pretty. But that thing, whatever the tower is, I forget the name of it, the radio tower that's on top of Twin Peaks,
Sure,
is legitimately like very ominous looking. It truly looks like a metallic eye of Sauron.
Also,
during intermission, everyone Google it. You'll be like, oh wow. If you just Google like San Francisco scary radio tower, it will show up.
it's also like you being like, oh, Mount Tam's not that intimidating looking. We all know that because we're from the Northwest where we have the Cascades, and mountains in California are not really mountains. Let's be honest. Like you look north from like walking outside and you're just like, oh, look at like Grouse Mountain and all these places where I'm like, that's an actual mountain. So I'm calling BS on Mount Tam. As a mountain. It's Hill Tam from now on.
It is more of a hill than a mountain for sure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of California things though. Okay, here's just for the crowd. It's this thing. Look at that. Come on, look at that. That's so terrifying. There's totally going to be an eye up there that's like when you put the ring on.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on. Yeah.
My girlfriend's parents live right here. That's actually true.
Oh, man. So anyway, Percy Jackson, now that I've given a visual aid for the Canadians. A visual aid. Okay, so now Piper grabs her dagger and thinks of the Enceladus dream of a place that she knows where she was supposed to betray her friends. This is the thing that I was referencing. She asks Medea why the Bay Area, and Medea smiles and asks, well, that's where they'll die, isn't it? And at this point I wrote in my notes, okay, definitely not our friend. Medea leads them to the escalators, and Jason and Leo look stoked to continue shopping. And that's the end of chapter 27.
I, as a teenager, was never stoked to go department store shopping unless I was going to like Hot Topic to get a band shirt or like a No Fear shirt from Target, maybe. But like the only time that I have been stoked about going shopping at a department store is at the West Edmonton Mall.
Yeah, West Edmonton, stand up!
Which was less for going to the Bay and more for the water park and the dolphin shows and the submarine ride and the mini golf and the ice skating rink and all of the other things.
It sounds delightful.
It was great when I went there as a teenager.
I was going to say, sounds like a high school dream.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole TV show about it. Yeah.
Fun. Yeah, I don't know that I was never like a mall kid in high school. I was never big on department store shopping, but like now I love to go shopping. And I'm even the next level where I love to go shopping for Kelly. I'm a great shopping husband. And Kelly, like, don't take it from me. Take it from Kelly, who told me, you're a great shopping husband. It's fun. We did it in Australia. Like, she'll put on the stuff. I'll tell her what looks good. I love it. I love putting together stuff, as you can tell with my outfit choices. Big fan of it.
And then you can tell and be like, oh, he just buys what fits. Like, but that works for me. But they mentioned specifically, like, Jason's interested in the sportswear. And I'm like, a 15-year-old isn't like, oh, look at those blazers. They're in season. Like,
oh, not sportswear in terms of like, that makes sense. Like your sports coat, not like sports jersey.
Yeah, the sportswear section, I believe. I'm not a big department store guy.
Yeah, it would
but I think
be
it's usually
blazers,
like suits and stuff like that.
Look, maybe he's just a man of taste. Now, I have retitled this chapter because I like to give it the Percy Jackson more quirky titles. I have retitled it, The Boys Make Me Go Shopping. Just like a little twist. Did you have a quirky title for it?
For me, it's just The Ladies Spit Game.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
like
good.
That's all that they're doing.
That is what happens. Now, after I wrote this title, I wrote in my notes, I'm just waiting for a OMG, I can't believe the boys want to go shopping joke, because it feels exactly like the type of joke Rick will make. And let's get into chapter 28. So, chapter 28 is also called Piper. Now, this one is much longer, but this one opens with, Piper cornered the princess as Jason and Leo went off to check out the living fur coats. Now, one, boss move from Piper to corner her. But number two, living fur coats? I don't know that I wanted to be wiggling and writhing. And then they later describe basically like a Davy Crockett hat that Leo puts on and it starts to move around. That sounds horrendous.
Absolutely not. The only situation in which I want that to happen is if I am being the mama opossum for like 100 baby opossums and they're all riding on my back, but they're having a great time. I'm feeding them snacks. It's consensual.
Yeah.
They're cute. I'm cute. It's great.
Yeah, no, that could work.
Yeah.
Piper asks Medea if she really wants them to shop for their own deaths. Medea confirms and adds that she is a seer, so she knows Piper's little secret about maybe having to decide between helping the boys or killing them to save her father. I didn't have to wait long for my joke because the next line is, quote, boys interested in shopping for clothes, a definite sign they were under an evil spell, which I think is rude. I love to go shopping. Piper asks Medea who she is, and she says that she already told her. She's the princess of Colchis. Piper asks, where is that? And Medea corrects the proper question is, where was that? As it was lost eons ago. And that worries Piper because the princess doesn't seem older than 50. So if that was eons ago, she might be magical of sorts. So then Piper just straight up asks her, how old are you? And I wrote as a joke, oh, that's not very ladylike. And then Medea goes, a lady should avoid asking or answering that question. Medea continues saying, let's just say the immigration process to enter your country took quite a while. My patron finally brought me through. She made all this, and then gestures to them all, possible.
So instantly, she uses the word patron, and I'm just like, okay, it's a Gaia thing.
Right.
We covered in the previous in the Seattle show that like we both he had figured out previously that the big bad seems to be Gaia. I just dirt woman really like sold that for me. But they only used that word patron before when specifically talking about DW.
They've only used it for
not Darkwing Duck, dirt woman.
Or was DW also, was that Arthur's brother or Arthur's sister from Arthur? Yeah. Too long to talk about a villain. Oh. But they've only used patron for Gaia or Hera. So I wrote that in my notes.
Oh, okay.
Because Hera said that to Jason, that she's her patron. So
Got it.
Clearly in this battle of what seems to be Hera versus Gaia, when they're bringing in people to their side, they become the patron. So initially when she said patron, I was like, okay, if she's good, Hera. If she's bad, Gaia. Unless Hera's going really off the rails with this gamble. But it goes pretty quickly. Piper also doesn't like the word patron because she knows that that has been used for these two folks. And it's definitely Gaia because Medea continues that her patron is only bringing through those with special talents, and her only request of Medea with the store is that it have an entrance underground, which is very Gaia coded, so that she, Gaia, could monitor clientele and just do that every now and then as, you know, the deal of we'll give you the store if you do this for me.
I am definitely very confused, though, as to the exact powers and influence and abilities of Gaia at this point, because sometimes they're like, oh, she's mostly asleep and only awakes every once in a while. And then when she is awake, she's building a 5-story shopping center with all sorts of different departments and living fur coats. Like her powers seem to be like very like mixed. Also, how long has this department store been there?
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
We have a line from Medea where she says that she like moved in. The understanding I got was that it was abandoned and she moved in. But even if it was there, they did have to install the underground entrance at the very least. So at the very least, they did do like basement excavation work, which is a lot, you know, especially if they're in Chicago. I'm sure that has to be all sorts of like city ordinances, and there's a subway system there. So like underground, it's going to be very contentious.
L train though, mostly. Though some areas are under. Never mind. We don't need to get into the metro system in Chicago.
So Piper immediately knows we got to get out of here ASAP. But then Jason from afar goes, hey, check it out. And he points out a purple shirt like his that he wore on the field trip, except it has claw marks ripped through it. Jason wonders why it looks so familiar. Piper says because it looks like his. But then she says, we need to leave. Medea pushes back, saying that the boys are having too much fun shopping to leave now. And then there's also a Camp Half-Blood shirt with a hole in the chest, and then there's damaged armor. So it seems like all of the clothing items that they have on resale, because they say like people sold things to buy other stuff, has all been damaged and beaten up. So not incredible vibes.
All the more reason to just leave.
Exactly.
No reason to be there.
Right. If Medea wasn't giving off bad enough vibes, here's destroyed clothing from your peers. Piper asks Medea to share the rest of her backstory. And though Medea is unaffected by these words and any sort of charm speak power that Piper put into them, the boys are very excited to hear more about Medea's story. So Medea kind of has to go along with it. She is upset at this and shoots a look at Piper, but then she does oblige and tell more of her story. She says that people do strange things for love, and Piper should know. She says that she fell for her hero because Aphrodite put her under a spell, and then adds that she cannot seek revenge on a goddess, but said it in a different tone, which gives Piper the impression of, but I can take it out on you instead. So Piper clearly knows the story at this point and begins to egg on Medea to reveal some of the more unsettling portions in hopes that that will snap Jason and Leo out of it. She asks Medea if the hero married her after leaving Colchis, like he promised. And Medea again is furious, but Piper holds her ground. And Medea relents a little bit, but then does reveal that, yes, at first, in fact, he did seem like he would keep his vow, but then her brother's fleet chased after them, and the fleet was going to destroy them until Medea convinced her brother to board the ship and talk under a flag of truce first. And then Medea killed her own brother. And I wrote my notes, I thought it was Jason. And here's where the interesting thing of Medea comes into play, because our Jason is shocked. Medea refutes the stories, though, calling them lies. She says that Jason and his crew did it, but they couldn't have done it without her deceiving her brother. So more of like a team effort as opposed to it being fully Medea. So this, and it continues and validated my thoughts, it feels very much like the Medusa situation, where there's lots of different tellings of the same story, and there's some that make Medea look worse, there's some that make her look better, there's some where the onus is put on someone else, and that's what this conversation feels like. It feels like Piper knows the Medea is fully the bad guy story, and Medea has the no, I'm a complex character story. I wouldn't say good, because she's like, well, I didn't do the killing. I just facilitated the killing, which is different. So not perfect defenses, but at least not like, oh, I've got this from start to finish. It's me.
Yeah, there's this book called Some by David Eagleman, I believe is his name. There's a short story within it which talks about this concept. I know this is a long launch.
Hey, love it.
Where they talk about the concept of there being 3 lives that you live. There's your life on Earth, there's your life in the afterlife, and then there's this interstitial life between the two where you're in this holding area until the last time that someone on Earth says your name. So you're in that holding area waiting for the last time for somebody to say your name. And so if you're really well known, some people could only be there for like a day and then they're forgotten by time. And then other people, like
people who make podcasts that will live forever.
Yes, that's correct. But like Julius Caesar, Abraham Lincoln, Cleopatra, whoever, all these different people through time.
Jason Derulo.
The longer that you're there, it's both like a reward and a punishment, because it shows and it demonstrates that you are remembered and that you're known, but that the longer you're in that area, the further people's memories of who you are will get from who you actually were and who you know yourself to be. So I was thinking about that in this, in which like they talk about like Medea and like she's in the underworld and I don't know what all she can see and can't see. They talk about that like a little bit later. But that idea of like, it would be frustrating for anyone, even though she is ostensibly an evil person. But like the more that the version of your history is changed, the more I'm sure that like if you got the opportunity to come back to Earth, you'd be like, let me set some things straight.
Yeah.
I'm really mad about this. But I love that idea because it's like almost haunting of like, that's something that I feel like humanity wants. We want to be remembered. We want to be known. We want to have a legacy most of the time. Not everybody. Some of you are introverts. But not that, never mind. I'm looking but there's the flip side of it that people don't think about, that like, who are they actually remembering? And I like that he's kind of lacing into this a little bit with the way that he's having her talk about her past.
Yeah. I mean, on a very small scale, it is something that I have to deal with a little bit because like the version of me on the podcast isn't like exactly who I am as a person. Like I will escalate things to be more entertaining, but also I get this weird thing where, especially on like the subreddit, sometimes people will like ask why I said or didn't say something, and then people in the comments are like, oh, well, Mike probably thinks this, and it's like wildly different than from my actual opinion. Or even like weirder people would be like, well, Mike said this on an episode, and it's like the opposite of what I said. So it's this weird thing of like, I have the one level of like podcast Mike is not exactly real life Mike, but then also people like misremember what I say, and then it becomes like I don't know. I've gotten like a glimpse of what you're talking about, and it is weird, and sometimes I have to get on the red to be like, no, I didn't say that. No, I don't think this. It's
also, everybody thinks that your hair always looks like that, but it's just for shows. The rest of the time, it's a middle part and just like off to either side.
And I get it permed. I'm a Gen Z boy and everything. So Medea says that they threw the body into the sea, which stopped the fleet since they had to search for it to give it a proper burial. And now this is starting to come back to me a little bit more because I believe Dr. Moy and I talked about the Medea story way back on an earlier mythological episode of TNO. And I feel like there might have been something else that referenced it. I don't know if it was a Percy Jackson book or another book, but like it was starting to come back to me, much like Celine Dion. Canada, yay! So that music video is great if you're not already familiar with it. Watch the It All Coming Back to Me music video by Celine Dion. That rips. It's wild. So Medea ends saying that her hero forgot all of this and still betrayed her in the end. Jason asks, what did he do? And Medea says that Jason, should know the story since he was named after him, which is, it's one of those like, I don't know, it's like, oh yeah, your name's Jason? Tell me everything about every Jason ever. Like, it's such a weird flex, like, you should know everything about this person. Jason doesn't know anything. He has no memories. He doesn't know what he had for breakfast. Like, he's got no idea who he is.
This is also the moment for me where it finally clicks. Like for the past chapter and a half, I was like, you know who this is. You know who this is. It's on the tip of your brain. And then finally, when she said, oh, that's your name, I was just like, there it is. So yeah. I felt foolish a little bit.
It happens. It happens. Now, Piper says, if the hero is the original Jason, then Medea should be dead. Whoa! Medea smiles and says, new life, new country, which is my new favorite version of New Year, New Me. And she admits that she made mistakes, but they were done for love, which I guess makes them okay. Medea turns to the boys and lays on the charm speak again, asking if they would do the same for someone that they loved. And Jason says, oh, sure. And Leo says, okay. Which is a great response. Piper can't snap them out of it, and they continue shopping, with Medea alluding to determining an asking price for Coach Hedge and the Storm Spirits who are in the cage, and that's what we're really trying to get, because we want to save Coach Hedge and deliver the Storm Spirits to Aeolus. So Leo gets distracted by an armored forge along the way, and Medea identifies it as the H2000, designed by Hephaestus himself. It's hot enough to melt celestial bronze or imperial gold. And I wrote, finally a name for the Roman stuff. And then that would mean that Fliptide has the properties of being made out of imperial gold. And Jason twitches as if he recalls this term. So Medea confirms that yes, imperial gold is what his coin sword Fliptide is made of, and imperial gold must be consecrated in the Temple of Jupiter on Capitoline Hill in Rome. I'm wondering if I've been there, because I've been to Rome a couple of times, so I've probably been there by accident. I never brought any gold there to be consecrated, but now I'm tempted to do so. It is powerful and rare, but it is also volatile, just like Roman emperors. She warns that Jason should never break his blade, meaning that at some point in the series, his sword is 1,000% going to break, and it's going to do something. Maybe they'll intentionally break it to defeat a villain. His sword is breaking. I'm going to mark it in stone right now.
Also, I know that this version of gold is supposed to be super strong, but normally gold is actually tremendously soft.
Yes, not good for weaponry.
Horrible for weaponry.
I guess after the consecration process, maybe it becomes much more firm. And what's very interesting is that next, speaking of gold stuff, Medea points out a golden throne that will trap you if you sit in it, which is cool, anything from mythology, and something that they brought into season 1 of the Percy Jackson TV show, which is very interesting. And I wonder if that led to them being more okay with putting that into the TV show. I think it was a great improvement in terms of just the logistics, because basically instead of all the mechanical spiders, they did the golden chair. And I talked to some people in production, and they were just like, yeah, animating all that spiders would have been hard. It would have looked weird. It would have, the golden chair thing is better. It even fits thematically with the myths. So I think it's cool. And I was wondering, because I had found that a lot of Percy Jackson fans, I don't think TNO listeners or podcast people in general, but more of the people who like to complain in the YouTube comment sections, those people were all mad about any change that the TV show made. But this one they didn't seem as upset about. And I'm wondering if it's because they're oh, well, it comes up later in the books, so it gets a pass for now. So Leo walks up to the throne like he's ready to sit in it, but Piper thankfully stops him. Leo asks how much for the throne and the oven. Medea says 5 great deeds for the seat and 7 years of servitude for the forge. Medea then whisks him down the appliance aisle to look at more things, and then Piper lets them go. She doesn't like the idea of leaving him alone with her, but she thinks that trying to snap Jason out of this one-on-one is her best shot at breaking this spell. So what does she do to do this? The tried and true method of slapping Jason in the face. And I love that Jason replies with, "What was that for?" which is the most common response to when you are slapped in the face by surprise, according to media. Like, I feel like that's the number one. If you were playing Family Feud, it would be like, a movie character just got slapped in the face. What do they say? And like 99 out of 100 would be, "What was that for?" Like, it's such a common response. Piper tells him to snap out of it because it is charm speak that Medea is using. Jason thinks, I don't know, Medea seems okay. And Piper says, she most certainly is not okay. She should not be alive. This is a problem. And then Piper informs Jason that Medea was married to the original Jason 3,000 years ago, which is too long ago to still be alive. And now Piper is convinced that Boreas' line before about souls no longer being confined to Hades and the underworld isn't just about monsters not going away, but it's also about people who were in the underworld coming back to the surface. So she thinks that the thing that was already super ominous has somehow become even more ominous.
Well, my question here is like, can any dead mortal come back? Because she she says that she's mortal, and so like it seems that like Gaia is the one who's able to make this happen.
Yes,
but can other people make it happen? Or even if it is just Gaia, my thought, the first one I went back to is, could she, as leverage, if like Piper's like, well, am I going to save my dad or am I not going to save my dad? Will I betray my friends or not betray my friends? I feel like if she brought back Leo's mom, like that's like an instant, I feel like he would betray them right away. Like, not that I don't like Leo, but like I'm thinking of like, who are the high stakes mortals that are dead that Gaia could potentially bring back?
I really like that. I do think it is something where any person that is dead in the underworld, I think now is up for grabs, but some powerful being has to yoink them out of the underworld. So it's not just like Willis Reed is going to come back and like dunk on someone. He's a basketball player for the Knicks, who has tragically passed. But like, I don't think that like anyone is just walking around now. I do think they have to get.
All right, they bring back the greatest villain and warrior of all time, Luke Castellan.
Oh no! Whoa!
No, I'm just kidding. I don't even think Luke's coming back.
No. But I do think that's an interesting thing. Of Gaia could start doing that. Don't necessarily just bring someone evil to help me. Bring someone to toy with the people that they're fighting against. It's quite fascinating.
Or if they like turn them and have them fight against them.
Oh my gosh. Like Dark Riku in Kingdom Hearts.
That's right.
Jason is confused because Medea is not a ghost. Piper says that she's worse. But before she can finish that thought, Medea returns with Leo to take everyone down to the cages on the ground floor. Now, as they descend, Piper notices 2 very large bronze sundials set within the floor on the north and south sides of the fountain. And then she doesn't say anything else about them, which made me think, these will be important. There's no way you're just like, look at those giant bronze sundials. Anyway, there's also a cage. So out of the cage, she sees the storm spirits in one of them, and she thinks there's at least a dozen, she says dozens, plural, in there, spinning around. And then the other cage has Coach Hedge, our beloved satyr friend, trapped in there. But Leo says, he looks okay. But the narrator reminds us that he is petrified. So he is frozen. So I don't know how okay you can be when you cannot move.
Controversial statement. At this point in the book, as a reader, I don't care about Coach Hedge.
Oh, interesting.
We saw him for like a couple hours. He did do the cool, like, ran up the hillside and rescued Leo, I think it was.
Yeah, and basically sacrificed himself for the team.
Yeah, but even all of them have known him for 2 days?
Yeah.
I'm like, the stakes aren't high. If Hedge gets lost in this process, I would be willing to let him go.
I think, for me, I don't know if it's that I don't care about him, but it's more of just one of those like YA things where he's for sure going to be okay.
Sure.
So I'm just not worried about him, that I haven't thought about about, oh, am I concerned? Would I be sad if he dies? Like, it just feels like he's gonna be fine, because it would be a wild pull to introduce a character very briefly in chapters 1 and 2, and then have him be teleported away at the end of chapter 2, and then be like, he's dead and you should be sad. It would feel very Lee Fletcher book 4, which my opinions of which are very public, in that I lost no sleep on his death.
That I think hedges my Lee Fletcher.
I just think he's going to be completely fine. Medea says that they can work out a barter negotiation for the spirits, the satyr, and the potion. She asks Piper if she agrees that that's better than, quote, starting unpleasantness, which is definitely a reference to Piper wanting to fight as soon as possible earlier, so pretty clear that Medea can read her mind. Piper doesn't want to listen to her, but her friends do, and Piper needs more time to think, so she says, sure, let's negotiate. Leo immediately asks, what is your asking price, Medea? And that is not the best tactic in negotiation. You want to set the tent pole. I learned this from my business minor.
I'm upset that, like, throughout all of this, there's almost no actual bargaining. Like, earlier,
let's get the logistics.
When she's like 7 great deeds and 5
years of servitude. 5 great deeds, 7 years of servitude.
How about 3 mediocre deeds and 2 hours of community service? Like, you've got to make a counter offer.
Right.
And even Piper's not making counter offers. I understand that the boys are under a spell, so they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll do anything.
Right.
But, like, make some sort of offer.
At the very least, just give the offer that's like super duper duper low, and then maybe she'll go for it. I definitely did that once in a negotiation where there was a thing and they were like, how much do you want to pay for this? And I was like, I don't want to pay for this. And they were like, that's not going to work. And I was like, okay, fine, you got me. But I was like, worth a shot.
And then you turn on the charm speaker, we're like, you will give it to me.
$1, Bob. Yeah. So Leo asks what the price is, and Medea calls it out as not a good strategy. And then Medea thinks about it a little bit, saying, all right, well, you want me to release the satyr, even though he has attacked her storm spirits. Piper says that the spirits attacked them, and Medea says that this is one of the favors of her patron, sending the storm spirits to abduct them being the crew. So Gaia went to Medea and said, hey, get these storm spirits, bring these people in, but that was unsuccessful. But Medea says, no harm done, because you have arrived here anyway, free of will. So this feels very like the Fates, where they would have a very ominous, vague thing of they will end up here. And you think that it's because the spirit stealing will be successful, but it's just because they found their way here on the quest. Medea knows their full intention with the storm spirits, wanting to capture them and bring them to Aeolus, so she says that the price will be high. Piper can tell that Jason and Leo are ready to take any deal, so she tries to pull out the rug from under them and lays it all out there. This princess is Medea, one of the most evil villains in all of Greek mythology. And I wrote, really? But then we learned more about some of the stuff she did, and I was like, okay, I don't know all of the Medea stories, clearly.
Yeah, I did a deep dive at this point to be like, I don't know if I believe that. And once we got to poisoning and murdering children, then I was like, oh, all right.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But Piper continues, she helped the original Jason steal the Golden Fleece and tells Jason and Leo that she is untrustworthy. Piper puts as much power behind this as she can, and she thinks that the sincerity of her description is adding to the power. And Jason backs off, and Leo appears to have snapped back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity, and Medea goes in for a save and an appeal to the boys, admitting that, yes, I am Medea, but I am misunderstood. Women back then had no power or leverage, usually couldn't even choose our husbands, and I zagged while the world zigged by becoming a sorceress, and I saved OG Jason's life. Jason checks that she really has risen from the dead. Medea confirms and credits her patron for doing so. Leo is spooked by her reforming like a monster. Then Medea spreads her fingers and steam emits from her nails. And she warns the team that what's going on is infinitely worse than a stirring of monsters from Tartarus. She says that her patron knows that giants and monsters are not her greatest servants. Medea is mortal, so she will learn from her mistakes. And now that she is back in the land of the living, she will not be cheated cheated again. She's prepared to give her price. Piper warns the boys that Medea back then was bloodthirsty. Medea says, that's a lie. And then Piper says the next part of the story, Jason, OG Jason, planned to dump Medea and marry the king's daughter. And Medea screams, quote, after I bore him 2 children, still he broke his promise. I ask you, was that right? And I mean, she kind of has a point. I feel like if you're going to have kids and then leave, that is a huge jerk move.
You'll find no disagreement from me. Yeah.
This is the copious amounts of knowledge I've learned from being a dad now, that cheating on your wife when you have kids is really bad. Jason and Leo agree. Piper presses on, and though she admits it may not have been right, Medea's vengeance wasn't correct either, since she murdered her own children to get back at Jason. And I was like, oh, okay. But then she continues, Piper saying that not only did she do that, but she also poisoned Jason's new wife and fled. Medea says this is another lie out to tarnish her reputation. She says the people of Corinth killed her children and drove her out, all while Jason did nothing to protect her. And I'm very intrigued, and I definitely got to ask Dr. Moy about this, of what are all the different interpretations? When did they come around? Like, is there a different time period where certain things, is it like author-based? I'm very curious to see all the different paths of Medea.
Regardless, as the reader in this moment, do you believe her?
I think that even if you go by the generous reads of Medea, it's still bad, because what Medea says is, yeah, Jason did nothing to protect me. And basically she says that because Jason took everything from me, I snuck into the palace and poisoned his new wife. And she says, well, it's a fair price, right? And Piper goes, no. But I think even if you have the most generous read on the situation, facilitated the death of her own brother, but didn't do the actual killing, and then didn't kill her own kids, but did kill someone's new lover, sure, that's not as bad. It's still murder.
I'm not asking if it's as bad. I'm asking, do you, when she's giving you this in this moment, she's giving you this version of events and said, that's not actually what happened. This is what happened. Do you believe her that her version is correct?
I think I do believe the thing that it's like, I didn't do the actual killing. I just facilitated it. And like, no, the town killed my kids. I just killed the new girl.
I'm sorry to inform you all that Mike has been charm spoken.
Oh, really? There's no like mythological thing where...
No. I'm just saying it worked.
Oh, okay.
It threw the page to your brain.
Well, it worked, but I'm still like, yeah, but it was still bad.
Yeah.
So
I personally don't believe her because I don't like, she's already been lying to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So like, why would she tell them the truth now, besides the fact that she's angry that people are telling lies about her, but she's also just like evil, angry person in general.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm just like, I'm painting her in too broad of a color, but stroke?
Yeah.
What a mixed
Painting
metaphor.
with too broad of a brush.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Got there.
But I don't actually believe her. Okay. Like, I think that, yes, there are plenty of instances in which women in history have been depicted in ways that were not kind to them.
Right, but I think the difference here is that, like, versus the Medusa thing, to bring it back there, this is arguing about who did what. The Medusa thing was always like, even the stories where they're trying to make her be the bad guy, it's like, wait a second, Poseidon and Athena feel like the bad guys. So it's just more of like, that's purely on the read. This is of like, okay, well, what actually happened? So I agree with you that like it is different stakes. And I do think it's different than the, women were just viewed differently. That's for sure Medusa. That might not be Medea.
And I believe Medusa.
Yeah.
I do not believe Medea.
Okay.
That's just where I stand.
I'll have to see what Dr. Moya has to say. Medea says she's the victim, but now she has learned her lesson. If heroes come asking for help, they must pay the price, especially heroes named Jason. Again, does not feel fair. And then the fountain turns bright red, and I was like, oh, it's not a fountain, it's a cauldron. Piper draws her dagger and tells Jason and Leo it's time to go, and Medea asks if they really want to leave before the deal is complete, and then she continues that her price is simple. She explains that the fountain is magic, and if a dead man is thrown in it, even if chopped to pieces, he returns fully formed and stronger than before. And I wrote, she's gonna make Jason and Leo fight. And I think that's the perfect cliffhanger for us to go to intermission. Woo! So, if you are a podcast person listening after the fact, we'll take a brief break. We'll do the Lost Euro, and then we'll get back to it. So let's all here say goodbye to the podcast people.
Goodbye, podcast people.
Hello and welcome to the Lost Euro surprisingly Shubio edition. I'm recording this one at 3:23 in the morning on Tuesday, August 6th. And you might be saying, Mike, doesn't this podcast come out on Mondays? Well, yeah, it should, and it's supposed to. But the powers that be, and by the powers that be, I mean Delta Airlines, decided, no, sir. I was supposed to fly in a red-eye back from the wedding I was at in the East Bay Sunday night and then get back to New York Monday morning, finish up the podcast stuff, and then boom. But the second leg of my red-eye got canceled, and then I spent the entire day in an airport trying to get on standby, and then I finally got on a plane, and then it sat on the runway for a couple of hours because of the other powers that be, rain clouds, and then finally I got home at like 12:30 in the morning, technically Tuesday. So yeah, 24 hours in an airport. It was great, and by great, I mean not fun. So anyway, episode a little bit delayed, but it's here. Hello. I hope you're enjoying it. Let's talk about some updates with the show. First, if you are enjoying listening to this episode so far and you're thinking, man, I wish I could see what it was like at the show. Well, you can watch a video version of this live show on the TNO YouTube account. If you go to youtube.com/@newest-olympian, you can find it. It was just a camera that I put in the crowd. So if you want more of that laugh track kind of feel, the microphone is within the crowd. So you get more of that laughter. And also you'll get to see some cool video things. There's a couple visual gags, and then you can see the rap battle that happens at the end of this episode. Of course, there was a rap battle. It's an episode with me and Nathan. It's just inevitable. It's going to happen. You can see that too. So check out the video version of this episode at the TNO YouTube account. If you are a patron, you have already seen this probably, because as a patron perk, you got very early access to this video. You could see and hear this content weeks in advance. There's a lot of fun stuff that you can check out at the Patreon. I would recommend joining that Patreon. I also would recommend you come to live shows. I just did a live show in Berkeley, California. It was super fun. Thank you so much to everyone who came out. We've got 2 shows coming up in August. We've got a show in Nashville and a show in Atlanta. And then if you missed the recent announcement, there's a whole bunch of other shows coming up where tickets are live right now at theuniosolympian.com/live. Those cities include New York, Vienna, Virginia, Toronto, Ontario, Boston, Massachusetts, New Orleans, Louisiana, Dallas, Texas, and Doylestown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You can get tickets to all of them and figure out the dates and stuff at theuniosolympian.com/live. And then for all of those shows, whenever I figure out what chapters I'm doing, I will post them on social media, usually a couple of days before, once I lock in exactly what we're going to be covering. So just follow @newsolympian on Twitter or Instagram, because that is where I make those posts. Now, I did mention the Patreon earlier. I want to give a shout out to the folks who have joined the Patreon most recently. Shout out to our newest Ultra God tier patron, Haley Mary. Shout out to our newest God tier patrons, Pro Pigeon Percy and Leo Has My Heart. And shout out to our newest Demigod tier patrons, Imir, Eris, and Nathaniel Myers. Thank you so much for your support. May Zeus bless you that your second leg of a red eye never gets canceled and then you fail to get on standby flights like 4 times in a row. And then finally, when you do, it gets delayed a whole bunch of times. I hope that you don't have plane issues like I had plane issues. It wasn't fun. It was not fun. It was not ideal. Now, if you're all caught up on the Newest Olympian and you're looking for a new podcast to listen to, I don't know, maybe when you're stuck in an airport for hours on end, you are in luck because I make a whole bunch of podcasts and you can listen to them in and out of airports. One of the ones that I make that I think you'll enjoy is Meddling Adults. It is a podcast game show for charity where I host and guests compete to solve children's mysteries, and whoever gets the most right earns money for a charity of their choosing. We've had a lot of very talented and funny people on the show. We've covered lots of different mysteries, from Encyclopedia Brown to Cam Jansen to Shelby Woo and more. And you can listen to all of them and play along at home by searching for Meddling Adults wherever you get your podcasts, or by going to meddlingadults.com. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, now you're going to hear words from a few sponsors to make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, such as by one of our new sponsors, Gerber Life, and others of them won't be read by me. Those are inserted locally. So if you live in Cambodia, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in Khmer, which the internet tells me is the official language of Cambodia. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into the next portion of this episode of the Newest Olympian. Hope everyone had a good intermission. I missed you all so dearly. Let's get into the rest of this chapter and then to Q&A.
While you're pulling up your notes, so we've got a blood fountain at stake that can heal people, supposedly.
Yes.
You kill somebody, you put them in the blood fountain, and they come back out just doing just dandy.
Yeah.
Doctors hate this one simple trick. got an illness, kick him in the blood fountain.
But first, chop him up into pieces for extra healing and health.
Yeah, for maximum coverage. Yeah, it's more surface area.
Yeah, it gets all in there. Yeah. Okay, now, so that's where we're picking up here. Leo is intrigued by this blood fountain, and Piper says it's a trick that Medea has pulled before, once on a king. But instead of coming back stronger and healthy, he just died. What's even worse is that Medea made his daughters cut him up. So, extra fun. I'm sure they're all doing very well, and they have no trauma about that at all.
This is only confirmation to me that she did this shit. She's like, oh, I didn't do any of these things, but why is the blood fountain back again, Medea? If she didn't do it, it wouldn't be in the mall.
Medea casts doubt on this accusation, but doesn't give any context. She's just like, nah. So not a great defense. And then she ramps up the charm speak to try to get Leo and Jason to fight each other. Piper tries to stop it, but they do begin fighting. Piper feels helpless and recognizes what a true sorceress can be. It's not just potions and magic wands. It's deception. It is what Medea is doing right now. Jason and Leo start going at each other's jugulars, but with words. Leo tells Jason he's always the star and always gets attention and takes Leo for granted. Jason tells Leo that he's annoying, never takes anything seriously, and can't even fix a dragon. Thank goodness Leo's immune to fire damage because burn!
I actually also don't believe these. I don't believe that they mean these words. Like,
no, I don't
something
think
about
so.
the phrasing, it comes across to me the same as the role that you want to play in the Percy Jackson show, which is the parents on the cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Who are like, I do not think that you are a good mechanic and you did not do a good job with the dragon.
Right.
It feels like their words are being pulled out of their mouths by.
It feels like a celebrity that they bring on one of the Comedy Central roasts that like definitely did not write their own jokes and is just saying whatever the poor, writing team wrote up for them.
Are you telling me that Martha Stewart isn't a 20-year road comedian?
No, I am not. I am not at all. Piper begs them to stop, but now they wield weapons, sword versus hammer, and I don't know if you want to bring a standard issue hammer to a sword fight.
Nor a gold sword that summons lightning.
Right.
Last time I checked, a lot of hammers are conductive.
Jason, choose your weapon. A coin that can turn into a sword that conducts lightning, or a spear if I want to throw it. Leo, choose your weapon. A hammer. A 3-pound hammer, which he says it like that's intimidating, but like 3 pounds is not heavy.
No.
That is quite light. Like if you go to like barbells don't even come in like legit 3-pound ones. They have to be the weird funky ones where it's like, this one's pink.
We've also like established that he can pull all sorts of things out of his tool belt. Why isn't he like battery powered operated circular saws?
That's true. I was going to say, he said there's like limitations and he's tried some of the stuff. But yeah, even if you can't pick a circular saw, he could just go with like a saw. Like he could go with some like the most.
You mean like
normal,
a handsaw?
Oh, yeah, at least it's pointy. I don't know. I don't know how
like
much
slapping him with it or pulling out a bow and playing it like a bluegrass musician.
Going. I would also like to say I meant dumbbells, not barbells. I don't want the swole bros who definitely listen to this podcast.
Yes, all the swole bros.
To send me emails with like, as they crunch the numbers on their keyboard with their huge finger muscles.
Mike, I was lifting last night at 10 p.m. getting my gains in and I couldn't help but notice.
What's funny is sometimes I do that because that's a great time to go to my apartment's gym. No one's there at 10 p.m. I can use all of the machines. Whee! Piper begs them to stop, but they've got their weapons, and Medea tells Piper to back off because she's actually doing her a favor, because if the boys die now, it'll make pleasing Enchilada so much easier, and she could have her father back today. And even though the charm speak doesn't work on Piper, the thought of saving her dad ASAP does have some appeal. Piper asks if Medea works for Enchiladas, and Medea says that she would never serve a giant, but they all serve the same greater cause and a patron that cannot be defeated. She tells Piper to back off and save herself so she doesn't die as well. Jason and Leo are ready to face off, but they aren't starting. It's almost like they're waiting for the orders to begin. It feels very much like Mortal Kombat before they say how to fight, right? Yeah, so it just feels like they're standing on the side going like...
Sorry,
Or I guess, yeah,
here's my
I need
hammer.
it. Oh, yeah. I have the sword. I guess Jason would be like flipping the coin over and over again, and then there's this fight, then it turns into the sword. Yeah. So it feels very much like that. So Piper thinks that this pause must be because they are trying to resist Medea. So that does give Piper a little bit of hope. Now, Medea then throws a diamond from her jewelry into the fountain, and it does an iris message to show the office of Piper's dad, Tristan McLean. And I think it's very interesting because the only time we've seen iris messages work is when they throw a drachma into a body of water to make the rainbow goddess show up. But for her just to throw a diamond, I wonder if it was a magic diamond or if it's just because it's something of high value, but also just feels like Iris. I thought she was a good guy. Now it just kind of feels like she's just in it for the money.
I think she's a neutral party. Like you use currency in the fountain and you're going to get it.
Yeah, it just feels very Michael Jordan quote of Republicans buy shoes too, where she's just like, I'll just look, if the money's coming in, the money's coming in. I don't care if it's, I guess she doesn't like cause any harm. She is just, facilitating video calls.
Oh, maybe it's like drachmas to water, but blood to diamonds. It's commentary on controversial timing mind practices.
That's exactly what Rick Riordan was going for. So we see Jane, Mr. McLean's assistant, and Medea starts chatting with her, and Jane asks how she can help and addresses Piper as well, saying, "Hello, Piper." And Piper is shocked. Medea says that Jane was easy to manipulate, quote, "an organized mind for a mortal, but incredibly weak." And in response to this, Jane goes, "Thank you, ma'am." And Medea goes, "Don't mention it."
This just goes to show that like Hollywood is full of Titan worshiping evil people that are only serving the worst forces in the world.
Medea applauds Jane for getting Tristan to skip town so rapidly, flying on his jet to Oakland without alerting press or police. And she says that it seems like nobody knows where he's gone. And then she does reveal that the lie that she got Jane to tell Tristan was that Piper's life was in danger. So at least this is like a bonus point for Mr. McLean, that he at least cares about the safety of Piper, even though I have my gripes with him as a father. At least, hey, your daughter's in danger. He springs into action.
Yeah.
At least, that's a good sign for him. Mm-hmm. Piper looks into her mirror dagger and sees the face of a girl who looks defeated, so she's again not feeling very confident. But then Medea gives Jane new orders. Bring Tristan home if Piper cooperates. Create a believable cover story and arrange for Tristan to arrive and spend some time in a psychiatric hospital.
I'm not going to lie. This is the closest that we've gotten to like, it feels like this is the do or die moment for Piper.
Right.
Like if she was going to have the betrayal, I feel like it would happen right now. She has the promise of like, her dad's going to come home. It's already a quick situation where like she could also join her in the charm speak and be like, yeah, chop each other up and jump in the fountain. Like it'd be very simple for this to turn into an accident that maybe she could claim she never did it. Pull the whole Medea.
Yeah.
So I commend her for not falling for it, because this is a time where, and also being influenced by someone trying to charm speak her.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's true, because we're all, at least for people that don't know what happens next, we're all wondering, is Piper going to go evil? When will she do it if she does? And yeah, for this opportunity to go without her flipping makes me confident that, she probably should be good throughout, unless they really ramp things up and change the stakes. But you're totally right. Jane says that she will stand by. The call ends. Piper gets very angry with Medea. Medea says that she's been planning this for years, because even as a soul in the fields of Asphodel, her seer powers worked. And she had a vision of the 7 heroes from Too Great to Prophecy. And she saw that Leo would be an important enemy, so she alerted her patron's consciousness, and she woke to visit him. So what that means is, Medea was responsible for Gaia visiting Leo, meaning Medea played a part in the death of Leo's mom.
And that is putting so much power in. It's the thing we talked about earlier of like, what can you do or see from Asphodel or Tartarus or wherever they are? Who gave her those seer abilities? Was that part of like her like Hecate witchcraft like powers from back in the day, or did Gaia give that to her somehow as like a watchdog to see what's going on? It's a huge, powerful thing to be like, I can see what's happening up on the overworld, and I'm going to call on my best friend who's like one of the most powerful mythological creatures ever, and then basically almost get her to do her bidding.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird who's really in charge here situation.
I do think Medea probably already had these powers, and I think Gaia just game recognized game. I think she saw what Medea was putting down and thought, ooh, she could be useful. Piper tries to get Leo to wake up since she is admitting to playing a part in his mother's death, but it doesn't work. Medea begins giving the orders to fight. Piper tries to interject knowing that her time is running out. Medea rolls her eyes, love that, rolls her eyes, and says Piper is no match for her, a sorceress who trained under her immortal aunt Circe. And I didn't know that they were related. I thought that was very interesting, especially because Circe is also in Hades 2, the video game. She then directly orders the boys to kill each other, and we get this quote, Jason, Leo, listen to me. Piper put all of her emotion into her voice. For years, she'd been trying to control herself and not show weakness. But now she poured everything into her words, her fear, her desperation, her anger. She knew she might be signing her dad's death warrant, but she cared too much about her friends to let them hurt each other. Medea is charming you. It's part of her magic. You are best friends. Don't fight each other. Fight her. And I like the emotion that she's put in. I like what we get from the narrator situation. But as far as like what she actually says, I didn't find it that compelling. So I would hope that the emotion behind it was strong enough to make the charm speak work. Because just saying, she is charming you. It's part of her magic. You are best friends. Don't fight each other. Fight her. It's like, I don't know. I'm not like going to go out. It's not a rousing halftime speech.
It kind of feels like the same thing that she's been telling them the entire chapter.
Yeah, she just like put a little gusto behind it.
Yeah, but I do like that this is an opportunity for her to like harness and use her charm speak in a way that she doesn't feel guilty about. Because she's always been kind of on the fence up until this point about the times that she's used it. But now it's like really not being afraid to use it, but also using it in a way that it's for good.
Yeah, it's positive charm speak as opposed to manipulative charm speak.
But I agree. She could have said so much more to just be like, mess her up.
Yeah, she's got to start watching like those supercuts of, you know, whatever that Al Pacino football movie halftime speech is, the one from Miracle, the hockey movie. Like she's got to watch all the, or remember the Titans.
Any WWE like promo, like, ooh yeah, Leo's gonna make a buzzsaw, cut you in half with it. Yeah, brother. like get it, lean into it.
I know that was Macho Man Randy Savage, but Macho Man Randy Savage also plays Bonesaw in the first Spider-Man Tobey Maguire movie. So
Bonesaw is ready.
That's so good. So this does work. Leo is immediately ready to fight Medea because of the mom stuff. Medea is miffed, but she says she will receive her payment another way. Jason swings at her. She poofs out of the way, taunts him, and then summons the giant sundials. And I wrote, Chekhov's sundials to move and unveil two snarling, golden, but real, like flesh and blood, not mechanical, dragons that are the size of camper vans. And Leo says, so that's what's in the kennels. And I wrote, Chekhov's kennels, because they were mentioned 2 chapters ago.
Also, the idea of the dragons being contained in sundials, I'm like, they don't typically have a container inside of them. It felt like Rick was like, give me, Greek objects. Let me, sundials.
My interpretation of it was that like they had big pedestals and they kind of like rotated out of the way to reveal, much like in the Colosseum, where it's like a hole in the floor and then the cage is like connected underneath.
Okay.
So I think it was less that they're in the sundials and that the sundials are like blocking the exit way of the cage. That's how I viewed it.
All right. I just think of them as like a flat circle with a wedge on it, or like a...
Yeah, I guess in my brain, I'm viewing them on some sort of pedestal, but that's because they are in Hades 1, the video game. When you unlock it, it's like on top of a thing. Yeah.
There we go.
It all goes back. All roads lead back to the first thing where I knew stuff about Greek mythology. Now, Jason warns to not look at them in the eye because they can paralyze you. So great, we have golden basilisk dragons.
Yeah,
not great.
Yet another callback to the Medusa chapter. Like this is so much Medusa Redux.
I like it. Now I just want Uma Thurman to play Medea in this.
Bring her back.
Bro, gosh, she was so good. Medea, while casually riding the escalator up. What a vibe. As much as we want to hate Medea, you have to admit she's got style. Like, to just be like standing on the escalator like, have fun, boys, is so good. Oh, it's so good. Do
you think that the steam is still emitting from her fingernails the whole time? Also, I don't think that ever gets brought in as to why she's doing it. In my mind, it's like
I think
if
it was the iris message, but it said it was the water from the fountain, so maybe not. Yeah.
That was the diamond.
I guess it's just vibes.
It's like when you go to one of those like 4DX movie theaters where it's like the next dimension of being there.
Yeah, I've never done one of those. That's one of those things in life where it's like, I would definitely do this if I don't have to pay any money. But if I'm already going to pay $20 for a movie ticket, I'm going to pay $10 extra so that my seat goes like this.
I think it's just like a cool party trick that like Cersei like taught her, and she's like, well, I got to use it sometimes. Anytime I'm leaving the party. Like,
yeah. So she confirms that these dragons will paralyze them, and she says they are sun dragons, gifts from her grandfather Helios that she has had for a while. So I also didn't realize her grandfather was Helios. Quote, they pulled my chariot when I left Corinth, and now they will be your destruction. Ta-ta, ta-ta, magnificent. Oh, God. Gotta love her. Can't hate her. What a vibe. The dragons attack. The boys start fighting back. Piper notices Medea getting closer to the appliance floor, so she goes, oh no, so she starts chasing after her. And then Medea, which I think is very funny, who has just been casually riding the escalator, once she sees Piper chasing after her, she kind of goes like, oh shit, oh, okay. And starts power walking up, which is very fun.
And in my mind, she's got like a long dress that doesn't, she can't do the full like movement of her legs because it's like a pencil skirt or something.
In my brain,
that's not a pencil skirt. I don't know enough about fashion. A narrow hem.
It's one of those, I don't even know what the dress is, but not only does it have the one slit up one leg, but it has the slit up the other leg. So like if you sit, you can have like the dress in the middle. Mm-hmm. I don't know what type of dress that's called. But yeah, I think it's very like, I saw someone wearing it on a British panel show once, and I was like, that is a powerful article of clothing. Yeah. And I could just imagine her doing it so that she can have optimal leg range of motion movement, because Piper does say that like, she's like, Medea was fast. Like she's old, but she could move for a 3,000-year-old woman who looks 50. So she starts rushing, and then she goes to the next floor, and Piper goes, oh, she wasn't going after the appliances. She's going after the potions. That is way more on brand. And then I was thinking, oh, she's definitely going for the painful death potion, obviously. That's the clear choice. Piper worries that running with a dagger could result in a very heroic death of tripping on the escalator and stabbing herself in the nose, which is quite the visual. She grabs a shield from a mannequin as she goes, and she continues upwards, but it's no use as Medea is already at the potions counter. And yes, Medea, of course, has the painful death potion in the swan-shaped bottle. I wonder if the swan was important. I'll have to ask Dr. Moy if that means anything.
Doesn't Hera turn into a swan, and that's how she like
she's a peacock, I thought, but maybe she's also a swan.
I feel like there's something with Zeus and swans, and like something bad happens with the swan and with Zeus, but we don't need to get into that. Greek mythology gets
Helen
dark.
of Troy? Okay, who's one person who feels really confident about the swan thing? Okay, you are pointing at this guy in a hat. No, okay. Oh, is that Ben? Oh, hey, Ben, what's up?
Here in the front row, here in the front row.
So there's a myth where Zeus turns into a swan to seduce a woman.
Zeus turns into a swan to, air quotes, seduce a woman.
Yeah, and, you know, mythology.
Yeah, he does. Zeus does Zeus things, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
yes. And that was Sarah, right? Sarah's running the merch table. Yeah, give it up for Sarah.
So maybe it's a Zeus connection.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, and also like swans, the most seductive bird or animal of all time. But.
Also, swan shape, you know what would be really hard? Cleaning that bottle. Are you kidding me? Trying to get a sponge in there?
No, that's a one and done situation. You throw that at Shatters and you call it good.
Oh, I'm done, Spike. Yeah. So, or you could, nah, I don't need to get into the logistics of trying to clean it.
No.
Is the dishwasher safe?
Let's get into the minutia of swan-shaped bottles.
You could either, now that I'm cleaning lots of baby bottles, you have those like, I have a couple of different brushes of different shapes to like get in the different crevices, but also you could do a thing where you just kind of like pour some soap in it and then like cover the lid and then just like shake it really good to get it all sudsy, and then.
But then you got to rinse it like.
I know, so many times.
So many times. Oh gosh, you know, podcasters are real people too. Mm-hmm. We go through the same things that you do.
You know how when you're listening to a podcast, you're doing the dishes. Sometimes I do dishes as well.
Someone's listening to this and rinsing out a soapy bottle right now.
And someone's doing the thing. They're like, this is so annoying. My brush doesn't fit. Yeah. I feel you, listener. I feel your pain. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So then she's got the swan-shaped bottle. Piper follows her instincts and just chucks the shield at her like she's Captain America. She just throws it.
Not like she's Zagreus using the Aegean shield.
That's good. That's much better. That's much better. That's a better reference. Yes. So she chucks the shield at her. Medea was not paying attention, so it hits her right in the chest. She crashes into the counter, falls over it, breaks some bottles. The shelves come down. They're all mixing together, and a lot of them are on Medea herself. And she says, "Fool, do you have any idea what so many potions will do when mixed?" And Piper hopefully says, "Kill you?" It's so funny. I think that's the first time Piper's like truly had like a laugh out loud joke moment. It's such a good reply. Like, you're gonna die, I hope. Steam then rises from Medea's feet, and she begins to cough and look pained, but Piper can't tell if it's genuine or if it'll be some sort of trick where she'll pretend to be hurt and then get her with a little gotcha of sorts. So then Piper hears Leo call for Jason's help, and when she turns to look, she sees a dragon pinning Leo to the floor, and it's like ready to snap at him. And she's really worried because Jason is really far on the other side of the room fighting the other dragon, so she thinks Jason's not going to be of any help. But before that can be resolved, Medea yells to Piper that she has doomed them all, as the mixture will destroy everything in this building. And thankfully, with perfect timing, Festus, our flying dragon friend, breaks through the ceiling. And I thought it was funny because Leo previously had been blowing the whistle, where the plan was, hey, Festus, when I blow the whistle, come through. When he started blowing the whistle in panic when the fight broke out, I was like, ha ha ha, a comedic moment, because surely this won't work. But it did work! So I didn't even write it in my notes, because I was like, this isn't anything. That's not going to work, Leo, you dunce. But it worked! I don't know how it worked, but it did work. Festus must have great hearing. So Festus, thankfully, is much larger than the other dragons, so he grabs one in each claw and just hurls them back into their pits. Leo presses the same marble tile that Medea did to make the sundials move out of the way, so it does end up trapping them.
I'm picturing this as like when he like hurls them in, I'm picturing like the sundials as like being on like a pinball spinner where they go like and then slam shut. Also, I've been wondering to this point what kind of dragon Festus is, because you've got your worms, you've got your weaverns, you've got your Quetzalcoatls, you've got
you've got the ones from Game of Thrones that have a bunch of Y's in them. I just assume every name in Game of Thrones is just like YRMN.
But these are like different types of dragons of like how many legs do they have? Do they have wings? And so like to me, I'm like, okay, he has to be a four-legged dragon with wings.
I think that is confirmed by the cover art.
Okay, I'm an ebook reader, so I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And so, but I also just like the idea of him just being like, wham, like taking, like winding up like he's the guy from Rookie of the Year, and just like making that sproing noise.
Here's the official artwork of Festus. So yeah, he's got 4 legs and big wings.
He's skinnier than I thought he would be. I thought he was like a proper chunky boy.
A chunky boy. Yeah. I like a chunky Festus. That's fun.
Yeah, in my heart, he's still a chunky boy.
I was imagining, I thought what you were going to say about the sundials is after he throws them into the hole, that the sundials like all read like 2. They're counting score.
I would like that.
So the sundials close. Then Medea curses in some ancient language. And then the 4th floor is just on fire. That's where the potions were. Piper has Medea at dagger point. Medea screams that she will not be abandoned again. So she grabs the memory potion. And then the narrator said, which somehow survived the crash. Of course it did. Of course. Because of plot. Chiron is so delighted that
but it's the healing potion. Like it heals anything, right?
Yes,
it just could be used for that.
Correct. It is the thing that cures any illness, and memory loss is apparently one of them. So Medea tells Piper to take her with them if she wants Jason's memories restored. Piper looks to the boys and sees them riding on Festus, who has grabbed the cages now. So Festus is just like, his usefulness per minute is off the charts. Like just incredible efficiency rating from Festus. He's just really adding a lot of wins above replacement. I'll stop making sports references, but the burning on the 4th floor intensifies. Medea says that Piper will never survive this quest without her, warning that Jason will never regain his memories and Tristan will die. Piper is tempted, but then she sees Medea's smile, and she knows that Medea is just confident in her ability to talk her way out of any situation, so she truly cannot be trustworthy. So then Piper, in response to this, says, "Not today, witch," which is for sure a way of Uncle Rick slipping in what he wanted to say but couldn't because it's a book for children. And then she jumps over the railing at the perfect timing to land on Festus with the two boys. And then they are able to fly out of the hole in the roof into the Chicago skyline. And then the final line, which I wasn't expecting, but I should have been because it's already such an 80s action movie. The final line of the chapter is, then the department store exploded behind them, which is so good. Just, you gotta love it.
When she jumps over that rail, in my heart, there's no way that she's not jumping backwards, both middle fingers extended, falling, just not looking behind her, and then lands on the dragon with both fingers still out, like through the roof.
Yeah, continue all the way, pointing it, turning around. Yeah,
just a complete double deuce.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So that is the end of that chapter, which I have retitled Double Double Boys in Trouble, which I feel really good about.
For me, the title of the chapter is Piper Makes a Graveyard, which is a reference to the fact that regionally, at least where I'm from, if you go to a convenience store and you put all of the sodas in one cup, that's called a graveyard. And
graveyard is better because I was originally thinking of that for the name, but the only name I know it by is like not very appropriate. So yeah. So I was like, so I'm so glad you've made this as your title.
So she put all the sodas / potions together and then also potentially killed somebody at the same time. So that's my
really
title.
good. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, but like, is Medea really gone?
I don't have high hopes for her
I'm
being
like,
gone.
there's no way. Also, she seems to be able to like shift forms. There's times where we get like, maybe this is just one aspect of her.
Yeah.
Also, like, nothing stays. Like, the thing is, she's immortal. And
right,
like,
that makes it slightly different than the monsters who instantly reform.
yeah, the Cyclops could come right back, but I don't know if Gaia can just like resummon her whenever she wants, or if there's a cooling off period, or yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But
we'll have to see.
That was the end of chapter 28. That is the end of this episode for now. If you're listening on the podcast, we're going to take another brief break, and then we'll get into Q&A. Hello, Mike here. Just once again, going to take another little break just because this is a longer episode of TNO. Just again for some more locally inserted ads. And then once we finish those up, we'll get into the rest of the episode of the New Olympian, which does include a rap battle. So you should stick around. There is a rap battle. How could there not be? It's an episode with me and Nathan on it. So check that out. It's going to be really fun. After these ads are complete, enjoy the remainder of this episode of the New Olympian. Let's go to Q&A right now. Yeah. All right. Some folks sent in some questions, so let's get to them. This first one is from Maya. And the subject line is Vancouver mountains greater than 2 exclamation points. Hi, Mike. Welcome back to Vancouver, and congratulations on your new baby. Thank you. Kelly did all the hard work. If you had to pick 1 or 2 characters from the series to babysit for you, who would you pick and why? For Nathan, who would you pick to dog watch Nandor? If you got a big fluffy boy.
Sure,
Nandor.
yeah. Nandor is my husky Malamute border collie mix. He's on my arm. You can search on Instagram for at Nandor Husker Pup. It would 100% be Festus. Because Nandor loves playing. He's not a small dog. He's a medium-sized dog, and he loves playing with dogs that are bigger than him. And he'll go like, oh, woo, 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 to like a big dog who won't play with him. And I'm just like picturing the two of them like wrestling and chewing gently on each other's necks and like stuff like that. And he would love Festus. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the top pick for me, for sure.
I like it. I'm going to go a little off the beaten path. I'm going to pick Mitch, the nice Aphrodite camper that Piper met, because he feels like he has his stuff together, feels like he would be responsible. Also, because Aphrodite camper, he would probably make my daughter look very cute and take cute little photos of her. And if I was being out babysat, I would love to see photos of her. Like, that's been really great while I've been traveling, is every now and then I'll just get a notification from Kelly and it's just my daughter being the cutest. Oh, she's so sweet. So I would probably pick Mitch. He seems like a nice, good lad.
Also, to the person who submitted this, my heart grew 3 sizes because you either follow my dog or know about my dog. And just anyone who knows about my dog, it makes me feel good. So
it's a good dog, a great pup.
He's a great pup. Yeah.
I like that when the couple of times I've crashed at your place recently, when you open the door, Nandor rushes out to greet me like he opened the door. And then you'll hide behind the door so the effect is really there. Like Nandor's like, hello, welcome back. All right, this one is from Nadine. Nadine says, the subject line is Vancouver's great and all, but I'm from Winnipeg. So, go Jets.
A Manitoban.
Yeah.
I know my provinces.
Hi, Schubes. Since Nathan brought up wondering about if dead characters are able to come back, which character would you bring back and why is it Lee Fletcher? I don't think it would be Lee Fletcher. I would bring back Bianca because I feel like we were robbed of her character in that she was only there for like half of book 3 and then like little tiny bits later on. But I think bringing Bianca back could be fun. She seemed very interesting and just had such a short-lived run. Do you have an answer?
It's Pan, duh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean...
Save the world, save nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also just like a really chill guy.
So chill. He was so chill.
Yeah.
This one, I'm going to save that one for last because that's really fun. I will start it. Okay, so this one is from Amanda. Amanda says, I'm going to Manhattan for the first time at the end of September, and I want to have the most stellar bagel and pizza ever. What are your S-tier recommendations? We have Burger Joint on the itinerary. So for anyone listening here or podcast-wise, I do have a website, schub.es/NYCFAQ, which is all of like my recommendations of New York things to do because this sort of thing will happen a lot. Top pizza, my favorite is Scar's Pizza. It's very good. And then top bagel, there's a lot of good options, thankfully. Oh, yeah, there's a Broad Nosh Bagels, which is near Columbus Circle. So if you're in New York, take reference. Those are very good. And yes, Burger Joint is quite fantastic. I would highly recommend going there like as soon as they open. Like they open usually like 11. You can get there before anyone's there and you don't have to wait in a line or anything like that because it does get popular at lunchtime because it's very delicious. Okay, this one is from Emma. Subject line, all caps, Vancouver, whoop, whoop. Hi, Mike. Love the podcast so much. The new Olympian and Potteros have gotten me through some pretty tough times. So I got to say thank you for that, first of all. It's very kind of you. I'm glad it could help. Now, on to the more important things. If you could buy anything from Medea's magical department store and not have to pay with essentially your soul, what would it be and why? Thank you for being so amazing and I'm loving the show so far, Emma. So we got to pick something magical to buy from the store and we don't have to pay with our souls. It's tough. So we saw that there were like magical clothes of sorts, but we didn't see a lot of the specifics. There was the oven. There was all the different potions that do all sorts of different things. I would worry about potions because potions to me kind of feel like genie vibes of like there's some sort of fine print.
It's a monkey's paw situation.
Yeah, like I'm going to drink it. It's like, yeah, it does cure all of your diseases, but then it gives you a new one that you didn't have. Yay! So I feel like I would probably go the safe route and just pick some sort of magical clothing item, whether it was like functional or very fashionable, like it could change different colors and stuff like that. I would probably go the safe and secure route and pick some magical clothes.
On a similar track, but since I specifically mentioned appliances, it would definitely be a clothes dryer that folds and puts away your laundry.
Oh, that would be really good. That would be so good.
If my bedroom right now would be so much cleaner at this very moment. That's the topic for me, no question.
Yeah, I like it. All right, this one is from Alex. Alex says, welcome to Vancouver, the land where they shoot Percy Jackson and The Last of Us. Oh, I didn't know The Last of Us. There were two. Very fun. Question. Gaia offers to bring one character back to life. You have to choose between Lee Fletcher or Selena Beauregard. The character returns victorious with all of the glory of a hero. Who do you choose? Thanks for a great show. That is very tricky because obviously I don't like Selena having... That's a really tough one. I think I'll pick Lee Fletcher, though. Because at least I have no bad blood for Lee Fletcher. I just was not bothered by his death at all. Selena, I am actively upset that she was the spy and didn't tell Percy earlier, and people think she was all great because she did a nice thing right before she died. So I would say Lee Fletcher because I'm sure Lee was great. We just didn't know any about it in Percy Jackson. I'm sure Lee did other fantastic things. Seems like they were a very skilled archer. So I'd love to learn more about Lee, and then I can retract all my statements about Lee, how Lee doesn't matter. Who would you pick between the two?
I don't have a strong feeling on this one.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave it there.
Neither. Okay, this one is from, is it Alicia? Alicia, thank you. Alicia says, hi, Mike and Nathan. My question dives into Nathan's theory into bringing back Leo's mom to life. If Leo's mom were to come back to life, do you think she would be a compliant pawn in Gaia's plan? Or do you think that she would resist? Do you have any predictions on individuals that Gaia will bring back to life if she really is the big bad? Thanks for an amazing show. Is it possible to get another Patreon sticker if they break? Yes. Send me a message on Patreon and I will send that to you. I'm assuming break, it would rip or something, but I like the thought of a sticker breaking. I don't know, it's invisible now. Ah! Okay, so if Leo's mom comes back, do you think she would be a pawn or would she fight against? My thought would be one of those things where like she comes back under a trance sort of thing, and then they have to try to do something to like break through to get her to snap out of it. Like she would be kind of in zombie mode, but if Leo does something or they're able to work some sort of counter magic, then I think that they could do it. It's like in D&D when someone does a spell and they have like concentration on the spell, and you can either attack the other person and they break the concentration. Like I think they would need to do something to snap her out of Gaia's influence.
I think that she will be under the influence, but in a way that they can't tell.
Oh.
Like she's
like
doing...
the kids can't tell.
Right. That like it's in a situation where she's like either like save me or help this person or whatever, but then there'll be like one of those like dramatic reveals of just like
yeah, like the horror movie when you can like shapeshift and you don't know that someone's got the thing that makes them
and
all of a
sudden Leo's mom has diamond eyes and you can't look in them unless you turn them to stone.
Yours is far more sinister. I do think the complete opposite would be funny if Gaia is like, and now I've brought back your mother, and she just like uppercuts Gaia. Like immediately be like, you killed me.
I'm trying to think like who else. I mean, I think for people who have died that they would bring back, we got to go back to the prior series.
I mean, Luke would be a possibility.
Sure.
Clearly, the mortal thing seems like an interesting angle to go out of her way to get Medea. So I don't know of any like evil mortals, but that does kind of seem like something she would go through the route of doing.
Yeah.
Maybe because I know that Gaia is like the mother of some of the Titans, she could, I don't know if it would count as bringing back, but like something to free Atlas from holding up the weight of the world. She could bring back some other Titans. I mean, like she's trying to raise her children, so maybe she is, like, I think she's going to probably go through with that. I can't think of anyone else, but I think just like what has been alluded to of like trying to raise her big evil giant son, I think she's gonna go through with that. It feels like a solid plan.
Okay. I would be a little bit disappointed if they brought the Titans back for this series.
Just like the ones we know. I think they're gonna bring back Titans, but not the Titans we have seen. It will be new other Titans that we have not run into yet.
Yeah.
Because then it's just more fun for a book series.
Okay.
So this one is from Joy. The subject line is Boo America. And then in parentheses, I'm American. I've never related to anything more.
Yep.
A meme that I saw recently, especially because the Olympics are coming up soon, because we're recording this in July of 2024. There was something where it was like one of those memes where like there is a format, but they've like, you know, Instagram captioned something over it. And it was like, damn America, I don't normally go with you, but I do love Katie Ledecky.
She's the best.
She's so good.
I have to bring this up. In the last, I think 8 years ago when she was in the Olympics, someone on Twitter said that she won the like 1,600 meter race by man, it's a hot one. And what they meant was that she touched and Smooth by Santana and Rob Thomas started playing. And then the entire guitar solo intro played. And the second place person touched the wall on Man, It's a Hot One. Like,
she's so
that's
good.
How dominant she is.
My favorite thing is like when she sets another world record and it's like Katie Ledecky has now placed like 5th on the list of the top 20 records all held by Katie Ledecky. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Percy Jackson. So Joy says, hi, Mike and Nathan, love the podcast. If each of the members of our new main trio had a theme song, what would you choose for each of them? Thanks for a fantastic show, Joy. Xanth in the Discord, hello. And then it says, also in my Greek mythology class, we talked about how Medea has a lot of tropes similar to popular heroes in Greek mythology, but is likely viewed as a villain because she's a woman. Maybe something to ask Dr. Moy about. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So the main trio, Piper, Leo, Jason, all have theme songs. What are we choosing for them?
Oh, gosh.
For Piper, I would pick Should I Stay or Should I Go Now? Since she's on the edge of do I go evil or do I do good? Jason would just be the Star Spangled Banner because he's an American.
No, I think we made a reference to Celine Dion earlier, beloved Canadian. It's all coming back to me.
Oh, because he's slowly piecing together his memories.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good. I can't wait to watch that music video tonight. Gosh, it rips.
And then, I mean, it's impossible to not just like think of something metal for Leo.
Yeah.
Somehow.
For Leo, I actually want to pick, and it's just because of the movie association, but I want to pick Lowrider because in Gone in 60 Seconds, when Nicolas Cage is like, before I steal a bunch of cars, I have to listen to the intro part of Lowrider. It just makes, for whatever reason, that song to me is always like, cars, garage, yeah.
It's If I Had a Hammer.
Oh, I'm not familiar with this
I
song.
would hammer in the evening,
I don't know this
hammer
one.
in the morning.
Keep going. I won't get
Hammer
it.
all
but-
night long. It's a folk song, I think, from the 1960s.
Okay.
It's actually, I think, like a Woody Guthrie, like pro-labor, I want to say. Maybe I'm
Ooh.
remembering everything incorrectly. But for a person who, when in a tight spot, just pulls out a hammer, it's got to be that for Leo, I would think.
Got it. The only hammer-related song that comes to mind for me is Maxwell's Silver Hammer, which is one of the few songs that I skip on Abbey Road by the Beatles. They have so many like almost close to zero skips albums. Like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is almost a perfect album, except for the benefit of Mr. Kite. Oh my God, get that off the album! Anyway, this next one is
Back to Percy Jackson.
was from Sruthi. Did I say that right? Cool. Sruthi says, hey, Mike, my name is Sruthi. Oh, spelt like Ruthie, but with an S up front. A Starbucks employee came up with that. Hey, look, I completely understand the need of Starbucks names, except for the fact that I am Mike, and I will never need it ever. Though I weirdly, would sometimes give fake names because there's too many Mikes, and someone might steal my order. My fake name sometimes is Winston. Thank you for the show. This is my first TNO live show, and I've been having a great time so far. Great. Hope Kelly and the baby are doing well. Yes, they are. Congratulations again. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Funny story. After I finished the episode with Alyssa Esteban, whose dog was called Piper, I met a dog called Piper when I went for a walk in the park. She ran owners and she ran away from her owners and ended up hanging out with me until they found her. Oh, you're cooler than them. Enjoy the Vancouver show and have a safe flight back. Okay, so just a fun story. Great. Hey. P.S. I hope you do a show in New York City after August 15th, as I'll be in NYC visiting family for a couple of weeks. It will be in the fall. We haven't selected a date just yet, so it will be after August 15th, but I don't know when exactly it will be. This one is from, is it Estee? Cool. Estee says, hey, Mike and Nathan, great show. Thank you for heading up here. My question is for Mike. What are your top 3 tips to being a great shopping husband? Thank you for asking this question. Okay. Top 3 tips. First is be honest, because the whole point of being the shopping husband or shopping whoever, friend, partner, anything, if you are there, you're the vibe check. So if they do the whole do I look silly in this? Does this fit me well? You got to be able to give the truth. Obviously, you don't want to be rude about it, and it's a delicate balance, but you're going to have to be honest. You can't just be like, it looks great, because why are you there if you're just going to lie? So you definitely have to do that. 2, you have to show more, at least maybe this is just Kelly specific. You have to show more excitement about the shopping experience than the person shopping, because otherwise they will feel guilty they're dragging you along. They will feel bad of oh, we should wrap it up. And they'll be I want to try on this other shirt, but it feels like I've had them here for too long, so I feel bad. You got to seem more hype than they are. Now, for me, it's genuine. For you, it might be a joke, but for me, when Kelly and I, we did this for a long time in Sydney, Australia, because they had a bunch of cool, funky, different top types that they didn't sell in America. Kelly was like, oh, are we here too long? I was like, no, try on the green one. Try on the green one. So definitely have the hype. And then the third one would be just ask some questions about why either selections are being made, because not only will it help you get a better sense of what kind of style the person shopping is going for, but also it can help them think about it. I feel a lot of things with fashion is just talking it out. I will do this sometimes where an article of clothing that I like a particular jacket, and it's a little pricey, so then I'll talk about it with either Kelly or my mom or something, and then after you get through the questions, you're oh, I actually might not wear this as much as I think I would wear it, so maybe it's not worth spending a bunch of money on. It's when will you wear this? Would you bring it there? No, because I'd be worried about getting it dirty. Okay, then why are you buying an expensive jacket? So I think just asking a lot of questions about the fit, the color, the usage, that can kind of help them think about I should get this. So those would be my top 3 tips of being a supportive shopping partner.
As a shopping father, buy the ball that bounces highest. Doesn't matter what color it is, and always add cheese to your order. But that's just for Nandor, of course.
The email continues, my man is Nathan's level of shopping, so we could step it up.
Does it fit? It fits.
Which is important.
Kind of.
Fit is important. P.S. Congratulations on your new baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Vancouver is anti-Canada Goose. Ooh, interesting. I'm very anti-Canada Goose jacket, so this makes me happy. Why is Vancouver anti-Canada Goose?
Because have you encountered one before?
Oh, sorry. Are we talking about the literal goose or the brand of jackets? Because I hate both. So you're talking about the goose. Okay, great. I think they're both awful.
Yeah, they're cobras with wings who poop everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. Or it's a jacket that costs $1,000 just because there's a patch on it, and you can just get an equally good one from like North Face for like a third the price.
Yeah.
Absurd. Anyway, this is from Kenna. Kenna says, for the long road trips on Festus, which songs would each member of the crew contribute to the playlist? So not the theme song, but they're riding on Festus. What songs are people bringing to the table? Jason's going to pick Bruce Springsteen because he's an American.
Leo is going to bring, because of his fire abilities, Hot to Go by Chapel Roan.
I've heard that. Or I like all hot, like Hot in Here, like all Hot One, like all
I'm
different.
really hot.
I'm really hot by Missy Elliott. God. Oh, did anyone go to the Missy Elliott show in Vancouver? Oh, guys, we went to the show in Seattle. Oh my God.
That was very good.
Unreal. Piper.
Piper.
It's hard.
Been Caught Stealing by Jane's Addiction.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, that's really solid.
But maybe that's her theme song. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fun. I feel like she would like it. It's hard. It's hard. Parents just don't understand.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the one where it has the really weird third verse, right?
That's right.
Yeah. If you like Will Smith, maybe only listen to the radio edit of Parents Just Don't Understand, because the third verse gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean bad. I think I'm gonna do one more and then the starred one. Okay, this is from Caitlin. Caitlin says, hi, Meg and Nathan. You got into my question a little bit, but I was wondering, if souls are no longer bound to Hades, who, from either myths or the Percy Jackson universe, RIP to Michael Yu, would you most like to see in Heroes of Olympus? Mythology info. Reason for the sundials for the dragons. Dragons were gifted to Medea by her grandfather Helios, the Titan of the Sun. Sundials. Thank you very much. I bet there's people who've already emailed in reasons for it, and then we'll send the reply email of, I listened to the Q&A portion. So now it's more of a question of people that they can bring back. So who would you want to see come back, either new or people from mythology that we know that we haven't seen yet?
So this is different than who's dead that we would bring back.
Yeah, just who, for the purposes of you're reading the book and you're like, that'd be interesting if they showed up. Who are you excited to see? Or is anyone from mythology we haven't seen yet that you want to see? And it was they're dead, but now they can rise again.
Yeah.
You know what would be fun? I think seeing Hercules/Heracles would be very interesting because he has not shown up in this series yet, but he's been referenced a lot, and his trials are the inspiration of a lot of plot things, whether direct or indirect. So for him to legitimately show up, I think would be very interesting. So I don't know if that counts as a dead soul thing, but just from my interest of mythological character we've not actually seen yet, Hercules/Heracles would be very fun, especially in this Greek versus Roman situation that we have going on.
Yeah, actually hearing you say Heracles made me realize what mine is. It's Julius Caesar.
Ooh, very interesting.
As much as they leaned in the first series into a lot of people you don't know are actually demigods. If anybody's a demigod, it's Julius Caesar. Yeah. And I mean, he probably proclaimed himself to be a god at some point. I would not be surprised. But let's have him pop up and do some stuff. He obviously is a great battle commander and helped build democracy.
It takes 33 stabs to kill him, so he's resilient.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's true. So I'm for Caesar.
All right, so let's get to the final one that we saved. This is from, is it Linnea? Linnea. So Linnea says, hi, Mike. Last year in Vancouver, you and Nathan performed an epic rap battle. If you had to pick one character from the series to join you on stage for a rap battle, who'd you pick and why? I kind of want to twist this. I kind of want to just do a rap battle, which we have not planned, and I think it would be fun.
Sure.
But really quick, if you have someone that you'd want to join you for a rap battle, who would you pick? So we can actually answer the question.
From all the
any of the
Percy
PJO,
Jackson? If I'm going to have somebody...
I would pick cheat code. I'd just pick Apollo since he's the god of performance and lyrics and stuff. I feel like he would be pretty solid. Either that or Hades, because he had some really biting words and I feel like he could just do one of those complete drop the mic things.
It's Dionysus for me.
Ooh, he was good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows how to party. He would do the thing in the Kendrick versus Drake beef. Apologies to Canada, but
it's over for you.
Yeah, but he's Toronto. This is
you don't have to claim him.
But I'm a huge Kendrick fan, so the fact that Not Like Us, it's not just like filled with burns, but it's also just like a banger. I feel like that is what Dionysus would bring to the table. It wouldn't just be biting, it would be an absolute bop, and then you would have people singing it like everyone is now.
Something in the line of Tipsy by Jay Quan.
Oh, Tipsy, thank you so much. What a beautiful time. Okay, so let's do a rap battle. I feel like in this chapter, you either do Piper versus Medea or Leo versus Jason.
Sure. Do we want to maybe get like an audience reaction of which they'd rather have?
Yeah. If you want to hear us do Piper versus Medea, make some noise. If you want to hear Leo versus Jason, make some noise. Not okay. Right. So Piper versus Medea. Yeah. Okay. One of us should be. Do we have strong feelings? Should we just flip a coin about who we are?
Yeah, let's flip if you have a coin.
Okay, no, I will just Google coin flip, and I think that should. Okay, so
who's got a toonie?
If it's heads, I'll be Medea. If it's tails, I'll be Piper.
Great.
Tails. Okay, so I'm Piper.
You're Piper. Okay.
Yes, and you're Medea.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. We don't have like an instrumental track, so I think we're just gonna have to get the audience to clap in rhythm. Yeah.
Or we can take turns like beat. We can take turns.
Oh, we can beatbox for each other. Oh, but you're so much better than me. I'm gonna sound so stupid. All right, I'll try it. It's hard. You're being so nice, but I have to diss track you as Piper. That's fine. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Oh, what's this? What do I see here? It's someone who's not gonna step to me, but yeah. Oh, I see you with all your fancy lotions, trying to get me to drink your evil type of potions. And what's that? Well, you're not an instigator. I don't care how you ride up the escalator. I'm gonna make you cry. You're gonna need a diaper. You don't wanna mess with me. My name is Piper.
Okay, you coming at me with that charm speak. Yeah, you tried it, but your deeds are kind of weak. And I'ma throw you in the ocean with this great potion. And I got some ideas, I got some great notions. That's right, I'm telling you, I serve Gaia. I'ma cook you up like you were a pizza pie. That's right, I'm wearing nice dress, got that steam nails. When they fight, they're gonna get impaled by that's a spear, but it's golden. I come from 3,000 years ago, I'm old in. I killed Jason once, I'm gonna do it again. But come for me, I'm gonna make your head spin.
Okay, yeah, all right, I see you, I know, you think you've got it, but you don't really know. I got a friend with a hammer and his name is Leo, yeah, and we're gonna take you on a real fun ride. Got my semi-boyfriend here with his sword flip tied, gonna cut you down, gonna strike you hard. You're gonna be saying, oh my God, who are these children? How'd they do this to me? I am someone from Cold Keys, but look at me, I'm Medea, I'm mortal. Oh no, let me jump in this portal. Speaking of portal, we are the bestest. Crashing through the ceiling, it's my homie, Festus.
Respect to you, cause I know you're Cherokee, but when you get in trouble, all you do is flee. Okay, I came from the past, but right now I'ma kick your charm speaking ass. That's right, I stole the gold fleece. When I got out of the underworld, I had that release. I was feeling pretty good, now I'm tricking lots of kids. That's right, I got you out here on the skids. Welcome to my mall, you can go to all 5 levels. I got a watch with a really nice bezel that rhymes with levels, cause I took the stairs. I think that your charm speaking is impaired, because that's right, I'm the daughter of Helios. I got the charm speaking, when I do it, it's the most. You're straight buster, you ain't got nothing. I'm gonna come over and knock out your stuffing.
Hey! All right, that is our show. Thank you so much. Whew. Give it up to Nathan for being an incredible guest tonight.
Hey, thank you, Vancouver.
Give yourselves a round of applause for making this all happen, being an incredible crowd.
Let's hear it for Mike Schubert.
Oh, thank you. Give it up to Sarah for running the merch table and answering that one question. And shout out to my buddy Ben and Taylor who were here, who we stayed at their place last time we were here in Vancouver. So thanks to them for making the last show and this show happen too. So give them a round of applause for their hospitality. And speaking of hospitality, give it up for everyone here at the Biltmore Cabaret, from sound to checking up on us to drinks and everything. They were awesome, ran a really tight ship. So give it up to them for making this such a wonderful experience. We are going to go. This has been absolutely delightful. Thank you all so much. This was so much fun. Had a blast. And got to come back, of course. This was way too much fun to not return. But until we find our way back here in Vancouver doing more stuff, until then,
Percy.
Thanks so much for coming out, everybody!
Hello, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamanes and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you can't get enough of the podcast, you can get involved in a couple of different ways. First, you can support us on Patreon, where you get bonus content. You can go to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon. You can also find us on social media. We're at Newest Olympian on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can go to our website, thenewestolympian.com, to learn more about the show. You can check out live shows that we've got coming near you at thenewestolympian.com/live. You can check out our merch page at thenewestolympian.com/merch. That's also where the TNO coffee lives. And for community stuff, we have a subreddit where you can chat with folks, reddit.com/r/thenewestolympian. And we also have the Discord, which is accessible to all folks on Patreon. Speaking of the Patreon, I want to give a shout out to our folks producing at the highest tier, our producer level patrons. Shout out to Kelsey Gillespie, The Damn Steam Nuggets, Vicky Garcia, Veronica Bartova, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Craig McRoberts, Taylor Payne, Sabrina Balsiger, Boney Pony, Polly Burridge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Josh Wilkie, Abby Ryan, Ashton Gabrielson, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reeby, Riley Giddes, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Santa Kopf, Julia Kendall, Rike, John Drillsma, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, King Bastion, One Damn Distraction Coming Up, Ginger Spursboy, A Cup of Solace, Meg Roy, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Sophie, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Finley McLeod, Sarah Elise Arnson, Bella, Hayden Neal, Percy Jackson, Han Haley Hingleheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Jessica Phillips, and Haley Mary. If you want to help out the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth helps the show so much. Whether you post about the show on social media or you reach out to someone directly, someone who you know is a big Percy Jackson fan, or someone you've been trying to convince to get into the Percy Jackson books, saying, hey, there's this podcast that's called The Newest Olympian. It's really good. You should check it out. Also, you could leave the show a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. Whatever you do to spread the word of the show really does help. I'm appreciative to anyone who has done it in the past, and I'm appreciative to anyone who will do it in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode, where we'll be joined by Red from Overly Sarcastic Productions to break down chapters 29 and 30 of The Lost Hero. But until then, I'll pursue you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So a listener, Morgan, gave me a pigeon gift, a couple of different pigeon gifts, but one of them is a little mini courier pigeon where you can write little notes back and forth. It's like a U.S. post office looking pigeon, and then you put tiny notes into it and stuff, and it comes with a little booklet of notes. So I'm just going to flip through that booklet of notes for this ASMR Mike segment. Thank you so much for listening.